David Williams with Jesus Ministries. Is Islam the fastest growing religion in the world? Well, that's exactly what some of the statisticians are saying. Why are they saying that? Why is Islam growing as rapidly as it is? Well, I'll give you a very, very clear answer for that in today's talk. At least one of the clear answers that I understand. Well, listen to this. Volunteers in the newly formed peace brigades raise their weapons and chant slogans against the Al-Qaeda-inspired Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant during a parade in the Shia stronghold of Sadr City, Baghdad, Iraq. The armed group was formed after radical Shiite cleric Muqtada al-Sadr called to form brigades to protect Shiite holy shrines against possible attacks against Sunni militants. And so this is a very common occurrence. Other volunteers of these peace brigades, they're participating here in a parade in the Shia stronghold of Sadr City, which is, again, in Baghdad of Iraq. And these militiamen have paraded in Baghdad and several other cities in southern Iraq with heavy weaponry, signaling their readiness to take on Sunni militants who control a large chunk of the country's north. And so these peace brigades, which we've come to know as anything but peaceful, are beginning to spread. The United States of America, as well as other developed countries, are beginning to adopt laws to protect Islamic citizens, and that's important to protect the person from physical violence. But the real problem there is that it's more than just a protection, it's also support in various ways. And if you haven't noticed, the Islamic population and affirmation of Islamic law known as Sharia law is also increasing in states where the Muslim population is growing. So why is Islam growing as rapidly? Well, I want to point out a scripture, at least two passages in the Bible. The first thing, Psalms 17 verse 13 says, "Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down." So this is the psalmist writing, asking God to avenge him of his physical enemies. Under the old law that God established, God allowed for men to bring justice through physical war. So he allowed men to war physically, to fight physically, to bring about justice. And here the writer is asking God to avenge him of his physical enemies. It goes on to say in that same verse, "Deliver my soul from the wicked." These are those who hate God and who do evil things. "Which is your sword." So the wicked, the ungodly people, are the weapon of God against wrongdoing, against evil doing. God uses hateful oppressors to punish nations that rebel against him. So the United States, being in rebellion and living for pleasure, we are, as well as many other nations internationally, we are inviting the punishment of God, and God brings that punishment oftentimes through physical war. Meaning, Islam is growing as a solution to the sinfulness of the world. Now, if you say to yourself, if you're a Muslim and you say, well, that's great because Islam is a righteous religion. Well, in Isaiah chapter 10, verses 5 through 7, it reads this, "O Assyrian, the rod of my anger and the staff in their hand is my indignation. I will send him against a hypocritical nation, and against the people of my wrath will I give him a charge to take the spoil and to take the prey, and to tread them down like the mud of the streets. Howbeit he means not so, neither does his heart think so, but it is in his heart to destroy and to cut off nations, not a few." And so here we've got God telling a prophet, Isaiah, to tell my nation, I am raising up against them the Assyrian, and I'm raising them up against a hypocritical nation. Now, we agree that the United States, by and large, pretends to be good. Most people pretend to be good, but we're not. Most of us in this nation are very, very evil by the standards of Jesus Christ himself. But we believe ourselves to be good, and so we pretend to be good. Personally, we pretend to be good internationally. Well, God is generating a warrior people who are going to destroy the nations. They don't think that God is the one that's leading them, or they believe Allah is the one that's leading them. But Allah is a false God. The real God, the God and Father of Jesus Christ, is generating an army of Islamic destroyers, and they, by the best of their ability, are going to destroy nations internationally. You see where it says in verse 7, howbeit he means not so. It's saying right there that they don't think it's the Father of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, or the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob that's doing this. They don't realize that they are being supported by God, though they are wicked. Though the Islamic religion is a wicked religion, started by a very wicked man, Muhammad, who was a murderer, and he was also a thief. Though that's who Islam was founded by, and that's what we know of Islam. We know Islam to be violent, and we know that in the nations where Islam is dominant, we know that their rule is brutal and ruthless. Though we know that to be true, America is adopting that because of their sinfulness. They don't have any understanding, nor do we have wisdom. And so we don't know that it's the consequence, it's the curse of the Lord. And so be mindful, men and women out there. As you do wrong, God will raise up an enemy against you. Though that enemy isn't good, he will raise up an enemy against you, and that enemy will bring the wrath of God.